You're not clapping for me, you're clapping for Jesus. You just do better than that. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life and always will be. I thank God for Pastor Hall and his beautiful wife for allowing me to come here and be a part of this awesome occasion to celebrate women who are led by God. I just want you to know that all of us qualify for that. So don't disqualify yourselves, because we are all supposed to be. We are women that God can use for His glory. We all have a story. We have a testimony. We may not get there at the same time, but we're going to get there if we continue to put our faith and trust in God. God has a journey for us to complete if we just have faith and trust in Him.
Yes. Amen.
That's okay. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. This is much better for me. Women led by God. Psalms 143 and 10. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good. Lead me into the land of uprightness. My subtitle is Being Fat for God.
Amen. I like that.
So today it's going to be all right for us ladies to be fat. When I finish, you're going to walk around talking about how fat you are and not even worrying about it anymore. Because fat has a whole new meaning when it comes to being fat for God. Women led by God have three amazing qualities that are given to them by God, in my humble opinion. The ability to push, the ability to KYMS, and lead an intentional and purposeful life. So let's explore each of those areas. Push. Push simply means pray until something happens. I mean pray until something happens. Don't pray and hope something happens. You pray until something happens. And I'm going to take you on a journey. I feel safe talking about me and talking about my journey and giving you my testimony so you can understand each of these levels and how they played out in my life, so that I was blessed to have the opportunity to be here in front of you today. Push. I think I was about 10 years old, and my grandmother, who is still alive today, she's 93 years old, bless her heart, she saw fit that she wanted to send me to an all-girls Catholic school from 8th grade all the way to 12th grade. Now, her reasoning for that was that she wanted to keep me away from boys. She wanted to make sure I had an awesome education opportunity so that I can get out of the predicament that I was in. We grew up poor, and my grandmother wanted us to have a better life. So my parents, of course, agreed to it. Grandma paid for it. But what Grandma didn't realize is that at that school, which was an all-Catholic girls' school, I learned how to pray. It taught me how to pray before I ate breakfast. It taught me how to pray before I ate lunch. It taught me how to pray in between classes. We went to church. We just had a relationship with God on a daily basis at that Catholic school. And though Grandma had her reasoning for sending me there, God had His. Because He knew that through the course of my life, there was going to come a time when I was going to have to rely on that push, that praying until something happens. Because unfortunately, my life wasn't as easy, and maybe yours wasn't either. But I know about me, so I can talk about me. My life wasn't that easy. I didn't have that perfect upbringing, those perfect parents, and I love them. They did what they knew how to do, and they went through what they went through. But it was okay, because my grandmother, God used my grandmother to help me prepare for the storms that I was about to go through as a child. And because I was able to pray my way through it, I was able to get through it. See, God never failed me. He never left me. He showed me what to do by sending me to that school. He taught me how to pray. He taught me to look and listen for Him in everything that I did at 10 years old. And that continued on through my life. That push, that praying until something happens became embedded in me as a child. And I continue that throughout my life. I can recall so many instances where I didn't understand why these things were happening to me as a child. But when I look back at it today, I know that he was preparing me for my destiny. And so I thank God for instilling that push in me. And I'm here to tell you that it's very important that no matter what it looks like, no matter what it sounds like, you need to continue to pray and trust and believe God until something happens, until a shift happens, until a move of God happens concerning that particular situation. God knows what he's doing, and he allows things to come into our lives to build our testimony. He's not going to give you more than what you can handle. And all of us have different levels of things that we can handle. So go through what you're going through, but know that you can push your way through it, because God has instilled in you everything you need to get through every circumstance that comes your way. Kids, don't be afraid to lean on Jesus at a young age. It's okay to pray. Make sure you're obedient and listening to your parents. You don't have to like what they say. You don't have to agree with what they say. The Bible doesn't say that you are to honor your mother and father honor your mother and father so that your days on this earth could be long and prosperous. It didn't say if you like what they say. It didn't say if they were good parents. It didn't say if they bought you things. It didn't say if you had a whole lot of money. It just said honor him. Amen. Obey them. And trust me, your days on this earth will be long and prosperous if you do that. I am a witness to that because I did it. And I didn't agree, and I didn't understand, but I prayed. And I let God deal with them while he dealt with me and brought me up to the person that he needed me to be. So pushing is very important. Pray until something happens. Please pray until something happens, because when you think God is not doing something, that's when he's really working on your behalf. The other one was KYMS. Keep your mouth shut. That was a valuable lesson for me, and it was an easy one for me because as a child, like my grandmother said, I had this spirit on me of submissiveness. I had this spirit on me of unconditional love. I love everybody and still do to this day. I give you the benefit of the doubt until you show me otherwise, and then I still give you the benefit of the doubt. And so that was a character in me, and I don't call it a flaw, but it's a character in me that God put in me. And I didn't understand back then the importance of it, but I understand it now. And so I had learned how to KYMS, keep my mouth closed. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak. There were instances in my life when I probably should have spoken up, but there was just something in me during that push time where God taught me how to keep my mouth closed. Don't say what I see. Say what I believe. And that is something that is so valuable, because if we start saying and everything that we see, we're going to lose hope. And we don't want to lose hope. And I'll give you an instance with that. I recall during my marriage, I'm divorced now, but during my 31 years of marriage, there was a lot of things that happened. And I learned how to just be quiet. Because I just felt that there was a lesson in everything that was going on, whether it be with my kids, whether it was with me, whether it's with my parents, with my husband, but through those 31 years of being a wife and a mother, I learned to just KYMS. I learned to sit and listen and observe and then wait on God to tell me what to do. And I truly can tell you as my testimony that it was hard, but it was easy because I was under the submission of God. I submitted myself to the things of God. I went to church. I served in my church. I didn't just go to church and sit in the pews. I served. My family served. We did everything that we needed to do to make sure that God's house was taken care of, because I was taught that if you take care of God's house, he'll take care of your house. So I took that to heart, and I believed that with everything in me. And so every Sunday and every Wednesday, and my oldest daughter is here to attest to it, my granddaughter is here to attest to it, that we were there. And we did what we had to do, no matter what was going on in our lives. No matter what heartbreak or heartache, no matter what the lack was, we sat in church and we did what God told us to do, and that was serve. And we weren't troublemakers. We weren't always in the pastor's face. We weren't always trying to get next to the pastor. We wanted to get next to him, the Lord. That was our only goal, was to serve him and to get as close to God as we possibly could on this journey that we call life. And we had to learn, including my kids, to KYMS. Everything that happens is, or everything that you see, or everything you get knowledge of is not for you to comment on. Sometimes you just have to take it in and listen and pray and go before God and push until something happens, and then he will give you the words to say, or he will tell you how to react, and not, and I'm not going to say react, but respond. We have to learn how not to react to everything that happens. KYMS means you're taking some time and you're taking it in. You're listening, you're hearing what is being said, you're listening to God, and then you go back and respond. Because you must remember, we cannot take back words once they're out there. So it's very important that we not react to everything that somebody says and does, because at the end of the day, you really don't know what anybody's going through. And so you have to sit back and think, what has happened to them to make them react to me the way that they are, or react to the situation the way that they are. You must learn to KYMS, because keeping your mouth shut may save not only your life, but the lives of others. The other one is lead an intentional and purposeful life. Everything you do is intentionally driven for God's purposes for your lives. Show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. Psalms 25:4. You know, the story of Esther always intrigues me, because Esther prepared herself.
Yes, she did.
She prepared herself. And she really didn't complain.
No.
Esther learned how to KYMS. Esther was a beautiful woman, inside and out. But Esther's uncle recognized some things about her, and about her mission, and about her purpose. And of course, you know that Esther became queen. But Esther also became queen because God put her in that position intentionally for the purpose of saving her people. So we have to know and understand what our intentional purpose on this earth is. And we have to learn how to walk in it. And the only way we're going to know what it is because we have to seek God's face. We have to be intentional about our relationship with God. We have to learn how to KYMS. We have to learn how to pray until something happens. And then when we do all of that, and then and only when we do all of that, God will be able to reveal his intent and purpose for our lives. I say that because I'll give you a little bit of my testimony. While I was going through my KYMS season, and I call that for the 31 years of marriage and raising kids, a lot of things occurred, and I didn't understand why they were happening. And you know, you can mess with me. I'm okay with that, devil, because I've learned enough to know that you should have took me out a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. So I learned how to push as a 10-year-old and own up. I learned how to KYMS as a teenager and as a kid. So when I got into my adulthood, KYMS and pushing was no issue for me. But learning my intent and my purpose, I was still working on that journey. I needed to know, okay, God, I don't understand why all that happened, but I got through it because of you. I got through it with you. So I'm not going to even live in that, but I need to know where I'm headed now. And so a lot of times, for instance, my oldest daughter, I'll pick on her since she's here. When she got out of high school, because the rules in our house was discipline and structure. There was no deviation from that. We were military people. We didn't have time. If we didn't get to work on time and did what we had to do, the mission failed. Mission fails, lives hang in the balance. We ain't got time to play with you as children. Do what we say do, and you don't have a choice. This is the way we're doing it, and we're going to move forward. If you don't like it, too bad. When you're 18, you can leave. And so, after I get my diploma, you know, my high school diploma. But anyway, so she gave me the high school diploma, not a problem. And then she decided, I don't like the rules anymore, and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And so she got on the bus with no money, practically no clothes,
Yeah.
and no transportation. I said she got on the bus.
Yeah.
And so she decided she was going to take a trip around the world because she didn't like the rules and regulations of our household. But in the process of that, I KYMS'd. And I pushed until something happened. And I went to church with my other two kids, because she's old, so I still had two other kids to raise. I didn't have time for that foolishness, because, and I'm not saying she was foolish, I'm saying that foolishness that the enemy tried to put on her to try to stop the intentionality and purpose of my life. I didn't have time for that. And so I went to church.
Yeah.
I served in the church.
Yeah.
I continued to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
My kids, younger kids, continued to do what they had to do, and we continued to walk in her absence. And when people would come up to us, especially me, because you know they're always coming up to mama, because mamas are the nurturers, and we have that heart, and we love our kids. And I loved her. I loved her to death. Well, I said love to the life. I ain't gonna say it to death, but I loved her. Y'all know what I mean, though. And so they would come to me and they would say, Sister Jackie, you heard from Jahan? And I said, no, I haven't heard from him. Oh my goodness, aren't you worried? I said, no. I know what God did for me when I was 10 years old and living in the household that I was living in, and she got it good. And so I didn't have it that good. So I know what God delivered me from and protected me and took me through and to get me to the point where I am her mother. So if all I got to do is KYMS and push my way through it, she'll be back. And she'll be back better than she was when she left. And as a living testimony, she went through some things, but nobody harmed her. Because God took care of her. No, people blessed her from city to city with tickets to get on the bus. Baby, what you doing here? I'm trying to get to such and such. Here's a ticket. And many times my heart wanted to try to contact her and say, hey, I'm going to send you some money. But God said, no, you're not. She decided that she was going to go out there and she was going to do that thing. So I'm going to need you to push and KYMS and keep walking toward your intentional purpose and destiny for your life. You're not going to let this distraction, because the devil said I couldn't get her. You know, something wrong with her. She's not worrying about herself. So I'm going to try to get through her kids. And that's not going to work either, because I understand that if God delivered me, if God took care of me, he's going to take care of my kids. He's going to take care of everything that concerns me. So I need not worry about anything. And so moving on with that, the fat part. You know, I said earlier that women that are led by God are fat. Well, the F stands for faithful. Women that are led by God are faithful. They speak God first. They don't speak what they see. They speak what God says about every situation of their lives. The kids are acting up. Well, see, God, I know that she is blessed and she is highly favored, Lord God. She's going to come back greater than she was when she left. She's going to have a testimony on her life, and she's going to be able to deliver other kids who have that spirit on them that she had on her. You speak life. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm the lender and not the borrower. You speak life into every situation. I will never be broke another day in my life. My kids, my family will have a platform that we will be able to use for God's glory. I'm not just saying those things. I'm telling you what I used to walk around my kitchen at night while they were sleeping, anointing their clothes and their shoes and the house and the door seals of their rooms with oil, not oil that I bought, not oil that I had to send away from online, but some Crisco oil, because the Lord told me, the Bible told me that anything I pray over, I can anoint this oil and this oil will become holy. So I believed that, received it, and I did it. And honestly, God made it come to pass. We didn't pray for my son to become a celebrity or an NFL player. I prayed for the will of God for their lives. I prayed for God to use everything that I have been through, everything that we have been through, so that we can witness to others. So show them if God did it for us, and he has no respect for a person, what he did for us, he'll do for you. Because you got to remember something. Everybody has a calling on their lives. Everybody has giftings and talents. Everybody may not become an NFL player, a celebrity, or famous, but you have a call. You have a purpose, and it was intentional. God put you here for a reason. We all are here to work together. It's not an individual type of world we live in. We have to come together as one. And if we put all of our talents, all our giftings together, this place will be a better place for all of us to live in. We should not be concerned about what's going on with someone else. We should be trying to uplift and not tear down. Everyone has a purpose. And when you start walking in that purpose, then you'll understand that no one is better than you. I'm not better than anyone. And money doesn't make you better than anyone. Money just makes it where you are more responsible for helping others. God has blessed you to be a blessing, not blessed you to be a curse, or not blessed you to be stingy and hold on to what you got. Each generation should do better than the last generation. What are you doing to make the next generation better? How are you using your platforms, whether it's big or small, to influence the next generation so that they can be greater, so that they can move on into their intentional purpose? That's what your faithfulness needs to do. That's what women who are led by God understand. They understand about being faithful in every area of their life, whether it is with their kids, whether it's with their spouse, whether it's on their job. Faithful. You need to walk before men, walk before your children, faithful, knowing that, hey, I saw how mama handled that. I saw how that woman of God handled that. I want to make sure that I do the same thing. And so faithfulness, as being a fat woman of God, is very important. The A means available. God don't care about anything but how available are you to him. How available are you to the things of God? He doesn't care about your talent and your gifts. He just want to know how available are you to use those toward his purposes and not your own. Women of God that are led by God, that are fat, they speak faithfully, right? She opens her mouth. Wisdom and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. You don't have to beat somebody down to get your point across. The last thing that you need to do is tear somebody down in order to build them up. You need to meet them where they are. Everybody, you don't need to be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. I need to KYMS and push through every situation when I'm standing there before somebody and they're witnessing to me or they're telling me something. It is not for me to try and engage in every word or everything that they're saying. Sometimes I just need to listen so that I can understand what God is trying to tell me to minister to them. So beating someone down or being holier than thou doesn't help anyone. And most times it hurts people. What you want to do is be able to be approachable, be able to be transparent, be kind in your words. Give them hugs. I'm a hugger. So everybody that comes up to me, okay, my son is Robert, yes. I don't call him RG3. My son is Robert, yes, but I have 2 other kids that I'm proud of as well. And I'm just an ordinary woman that God used to do extraordinary things so that I could be here and witness to you extraordinary people. And so for that, I am totally grateful. And I understand the platform that I'm given. I also understand the call of my life. And I also understand that I am no better than anybody in this room. I love you. And I know that you have the greatness inside of you. It takes us sometime longer. Everybody's not going to get there at the same time. And that's what I tell people. Don't give up. It's not over until you're not here anymore. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. Start now. I tell it to my granddaughter all the time, my oldest granddaughter, start now.
Yeah.
It would build your legacy now.
Yeah.
And make God proud. God uses those who people think are unusable.
Wow. Yes, he does.
They thought I was unusable because of all the stuff that I went through as a child. But you know, like I said, that pushing and that KYMSing and that being submissive and that learning to just, you know, let God lead instead of me trying to lead, because I did that a few times too, and it was reckless. It didn't work out. And so I learned quickly to stop trying to navigate my own course. And I'll give you a funny story about that.
Yeah.
God told me when I graduated from high school that it was time for me to leave. You know, I needed to get out of that environment so that I could move on into my destiny. Yeah. Well, I didn't really listen. So what I did was I joined the Air Force Reserve, and I started going to college. And I was going to college, and I was working, and I was in the Air Force Reserve, a weekend warrior. That's what they call the reservists, weekend warriors. And I was struggling. Oh, I was struggling. And see, God had told me to leave. He told me to leave New Orleans. That's where I'm from, New Orleans, Louisiana. He told me to leave there, but I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave what I knew. It was comfortable there. It was easy there, but it was hard, if you know what I mean. So I didn't want to leave that. I didn't want to go and start fresh. You know, when everything around me is so normal and so easy, you know, I can reach out and touch people, and I can depend on people, even if the relationships are toxic, because toxic relationships are dangerous. But even though those relationships are toxic, you still feel like you can depend upon them. But anyway, God made it harder and harder and harder and harder. And so finally, one day a recruiter came to me. Now, if you know me, I'm not that hoo girl. I was a tomboy, but I was cute. You know, I didn't want to be outside too much in the sun. I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to dress up. I was a cute girl. You know? And so when the recruiter came to me and he said, would you like to join the Army? And I'm like, the Army? That's not the road for me. That's not, I don't even hear God in that. And I'm not telling him that, but I'm sitting there saying, God, this can't be you. Because, you know, this is not of me. This is not who I am or who I thought I was anyway. And so he kept talking to me, and I said, okay, I'll take the ASVAB test. And that's the test you have to take in order to go in the military. Took it, passed it. I was like, okay, God, still, I don't hear you. And so then he said, well, you know you have to go to basic training. And I'm like, God, now you know I'm not going to pass basic training. I'm not going to be out there running and doing no push-ups and sit-ups. I am not, they're going to send me home. It's going to be embarrassing. And so, you know, I told him, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it through basic training. I don't think this is a good idea. And he said, do you have any college? And I said, yeah, but I still ain't going to make it through basic training. College ain't going to help me through basic training. And he said, the Army has this program right now that they're doing. Now that was God. Has this program that they're doing right now, and if you have 30 plus hours of college, you can skip basic training. And I said, are you serious? I said, say that again. And then he repeated it, and I said, can you show me? And then he showed, because I was not going and then wind up being tricked in that basic training. And so he said, but the only problem is, and this is like in July, he said, you have to report there on October 27th. I'll never forget that, 1987. And I said, October? And I'm like, well, that's only a few months. So he said, I'm just telling you, you don't have to go to basic training. You go straight to your first duty station, and they start training you. I said, I don't have to do any type of training. And he said, no, you just show up, and they're going to train you how to be an administrator. And I'm like, okay, God, maybe this is you. Because you told me to leave, and here you have provided the way out where I have no struggle or strain. Because you know when it's God, there's no stress, there's no struggle, there's no strain. He will pay your way if it's him. And he did. So I went to my first duty station, I left New Orleans, and I'm going to tell you the toxic relationships as I was going, approaching the plane, leaving, and I never turned around. And they said, you'll be back. You're not going to make it. This is not for you. And these were family members. These weren't strangers. These weren't friends. These were family members. Very close family members. And their confession or profession over my life was, you'll be back. You're not going to make it. Make a long story short, 31 years, and I actually retired from the military with full benefits. I never went back except to say, hello, how y'all doing? And go right on back to my next duty. And so what I'm saying that to say is that God will provide you a way of escape if that is not the course for your life. He opened up doors that to this day people are like, nah, the Army never had that kind of program. Well, God created the program just for me for that month, for that time period. I got through it and then he closed that window. Okay? And that's what I believe. And it worked for me. And when I got there, I didn't know anything about the military or the military way of life. But he provided people that instructed me, that taught me everything that I needed to know so that I could be successful in the military. And I was not a hoo-hoo girl. But God opened up a door for me to get out of that environment because I was a pusher, because I prayed until you're going to get me out of here, Lord. I don't know how you're going to do it. And then I learned how to KYMS. Even though I was going through what I was going through with family members and parents, I kept my mouth shut and I honored them. I didn't disrespect them. I didn't talk back. I was a good girl, as my mom and my dad say. You was a good girl. Well, I was a good girl, but I was a godly girl because I believed in Jesus. I believed in what God's promises said, that if I would honor them, he would take care of me. If I would do this, then he'll do that. If you do this, then he'll do that. I believed it. I bought into it. And I saw it, the manifestation of it in my life. And so it made me keep going. And, oh, okay, well, he did that. So, okay, what's the next thing I got to go through? And I went through it knowing, having confidence that God would supply everything that I need so that I could be successful in whatever area it was that he was leading me in. Not me leading me in, but he leading me in. But he needed to know that I was going to be obedient. He needed to know that I was going to be submissive. He needed to know that I would pray until something happened. He needed to know that I had learned how to keep my mouth shut in certain situations so that he could minister to me and then I would speak. Women who are led by God, they show their true beauty, both externally and internally. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. You know, our bodies get older and start deteriorating, and looks slowly start to fade. So we must learn to invest in that which will last. What will last? Only what you do for Jesus, only what you do for God will last. So when I meet people, when I are in the presence of people, what I want them to remember is the beauty that I possessed inside. I don't care if they remember what I looked like or what I had on or what color my shoe. I don't care about that. What I want them to have is an encounter with me that they say, you know what, I'm not in her. I experienced the beauty in her that came from God. And if I can do that, because that's my goal in life, I want to be impactful in everybody's life I meet. I don't even have to open my mouth. I just give them a hug. And I want to make sure that when I give them that hug, that they can feel that someone loves them. And if they don't even have to remember me, they can say, oh God, that was a hug from you. Whatever it is, but I want to leave an impact to let them know that God loves them, that they are beautiful, that they are purposeful, that they're intentionally here. There are no mistakes. God didn't make no mistakes. I don't care how you were born. God didn't make no mistakes. You were meant to be here. Okay, I always say kids are not the mistake, parents don't make the mistakes. Kids don't make mistakes. They didn't ask to come here, and God is going to use them for his glory. And no matter what. The next thing is they stay humble. Women that are led by God, they stay humble. And when I say that, meaning that spirit of pride doesn't rise up on them, and they start thinking, it's me. Whoa, it's me. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. I had the awesome opportunity to talk with your deaconess before church service started. And she said something that was so profound to me. She said, you know, sometimes people don't come to our church because it's not massive. Or there's not large crowds or whatever it is that people like that come to church for. But what I explained to her was, if it's just one person in here, that means that God sent me to minister or to speak to or have relations with that one person. And that's all that matters to me. Because at that point, when you start worrying about the crowds, the money, the size of a church, now you're puffed up. It's all about your pride. It's all about you. And God wants to use you. I want God to use me for his glory, not for my own glory. I don't want, when I'm standing up here and when I leave from this place and leave your presence, I want you to feel like you had an encounter with God, not an encounter with Jacqueline Griffin. And so the humbleness must stay there, because God can't use people who are puffed up and prideful. Because pride comes before the fall. And I'm not trying to fall. I'm trying to keep rising up and keep moving with God in every level and purpose and intent that he has for my life. And so I'll give you an example concerning that. You know, my son, he got hurt when he was in college. And we, you know, the family, we're a family that we go through everything together. It's always been that way. That's how we raised our kids. And we're still that way to this day. And so he was like, I don't understand. I went to church. I did everything, because he was a good boy. My daughters, bless their souls. If I told my oldest to go left, she went way right. Okay, she kept me pushing in KYMS. Okay, and so, but she's here today, and she's blessed, saved, and full of the Holy Ghost. But my son, he was like, I'm good. I do everything that you all tell me to do. I like to believe that I go to church and I praise God like I'm supposed to. You all have taught me the word. I read my Bible. I pray every night. So why did this happen? Yeah. And so my answer was, because they always look to me for that biblical word. Okay, so I'm going to see what Mama going to say. Now, how Mama going to handle this situation? Because they've seen me handle some situations, and they think, wow, Ma, wow, you're strong. But they don't understand. I'm screaming on the inside. Okay, and I may be shaking on the inside, but the rock that I'm standing on is Jesus, and he ain't shaking. Okay, and he's going to give me a word, and he's going to give me everything I need to put into that child so that he can get through that test, that trial, because that's all it was. And so what I told him was, I said, I ain't gonna lie to you. I have no idea what God's doing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna stand before you and say, God did. I'm not gonna even try to be prophetic or anything like that. What I'm gonna tell you is, we gonna get through this. This is a test, and God is just building your testimony. This thing is not for you. This is for some other kid that winds up going through this situation, and they'll think back and see how you handled it and say, you know what? I saw how Robert did that, and he walked with God, and he believed God, and all he talked about was how God was healing him, and God did this, and God did that. I said, so that testimony is for someone else. So we're going to walk through this thing, and I said, I bet you what? I tell you what. And he was like, what, Ma? I said, greater is on the other side of this thing. Now, I ain't see greater. I'm just saying, I didn't see greater, but my faith was speaking what God says to speak. So I said, greater is on the other side of it. And don't think I believed it. I just didn't see it. But I spoke it. And the rest is history, because he came back better than ever from that injury at Baylor University and went on to become the first Heisman Trophy winner in the history of Baylor University. And so that right there was the greater that I couldn't see, but God said, listen to me, say this. And I said it. And listen to me and do this. And we did it. And guess what? God showed up and showed out. He had to. We called him on his word. We told him that greater was coming. So God had to show that greater was coming. And so then as we moved on just a little bit further, and God went really, really greater, and he allowed him to be drafted number 2 overall in the NFL, we weren't looking for that. That was not our purpose or intent. It was God, use us, use him, do whatever it is you want to do, and we'll follow. And so that's what he did. And so when we got there, and things started falling apart in certain, I know y'all know the stories, some of the stories. Everything you read, it ain't true. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But so as we went through that, and we trying to navigate ourselves through that, and then he got injured again. And, he's like, okay, Mama, I really don't understand now. What is really going on? And once again, I don't understand either. I'm asking God, I don't know, Lord. I'm trying to understand this one here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the same thing again. Yeah. I'm going to say that this is a testimony. And this is for somebody else to get through at this level. Okay, so the other one was at college. This one is at the NFL level. And so they're going to watch you and watch how you walked and navigated this. But this is a more difficult one because these are grown men. These are adult men. These are seasoned veterans. These are all walks of life. And you got to walk before them, even though you may not feel like walking before them because you're hurting. You're confused. But what you're going to say is, God got this. I don't know what God is doing, but I trust him. I trust him before, and I'm going to trust him again. And his tenacity and that relationship and that faith that you instill in your children and in each other, you watch it walk itself out. Now being a mother of adult children, I can watch them with their faith walk. And sometimes they're speaking to me. I mean, they see me and they're like, well, Mom, the Lord said, and I'm like, hallelujah. Okay. And my son sends me prayers every Sunday. But Mama, I don't know what God has in store for you, but I know it's going to be great. I'm like, amen, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Okay, roles are reversed, and he heard me. He heard me. And my oldest daughter does the same thing. My granddaughter does it. And so I said, suffer not the little children. They hear you. They're watching. They're believing. You have to be an example, but an ensample. Meaning you're planted right there in the household, and they're watching you. Now you can go out, get in your car. I told somebody the other day, jump in your car and go scream and cry and holler and have your little back and forth, because that's what I do with God. But don't do it in front of them. Don't let them see you get a faith failure. Because they're watching you, and then their faith may fail, and they're going to imitate what they see you do. Well, Mama get mad, and she go off, but you're telling them not to react, to respond, but you react to everything. You're telling them that there need to be great leaders, but you won't follow nobody. Okay? You tell them they need to be on time everywhere they go, but you're late for everything. Okay? You are steady telling them what you want them to do, but you're not leading by example, but you expect them to follow you. And that's not just your children, that's anybody else. How can you be an effective leader or of anything if you cannot demonstrate structure and discipline? So what you have to do is you have to continue to be humble and allow God to use you in the ways that he sees fit to use you in whatever role that is. It took me 31 years before I had gotten to a place where I was comfortable doing this. I was always in the background, and I was happy being there. I was a support system for everybody. I encouraged everybody. Go out there, do that. You got it. I got you, and I'm going to support you. Go and do this. I'm going to support you. I'm going to find out everything I need to know about what you need to do it, and then I'm going to present it to you so you can be successful. But I thought my role, because the enemy tried to shut me down in the beginning, and so I got comfortable in that, but guess what? I continued to pray. I continued to KYMS, but God had gotten to the point where he said, it's your turn. It's not just your time, it's your turn. And I kept fighting that. I kept fighting, and I was like, nah, God, I ain't no speaker. I can't speak in front of nobody. I'm used to talk. I can tell people what to say, but I'm not going to go in front of other people and talk to them. And so I met somebody named Sean through this lady named Sheila. And Sheila was determined that she was going to put me out there when I first came here. And she started putting me in uncomfortable positions. And God going to take you out your comfort zone. And she started promising that I would come to appear at churches and speak. And I'm like, Lord, what is going on? And I'm shaking in my boots. But I'm so uncomfortable. But I had learned that God wanted to take you. He wants to take you out of your comfort zone. Because when he takes you out of your comfort zone, that fear that you're feeling is the next step that he has in your life. So you need to move past the fear. On the other side of fear is not failure. On the other side of fear is your destiny. Is that next thing that God has for you. And see, the enemy puts that fear there because fear don't come from the Lord. The enemy puts that fear there because he doesn't want you to go further. He wants you to stay right there, stuck in the foolishness or stuck in your fear, stuck in whatever the ordinary is for you. He don't want you to go to the extraordinary. So he wants to put that fear there. And you have to learn how to get uncomfortable. So that God can use you in every area that he chooses to use you. And that's something that I had to learn over these last few years that, okay, Jackie, it ain't even about you. So if you take yourself out of the equation and you just go up there and you speak, you let God speak through you. Take yourself out. Anybody paying attention to you, they trying to hear what God has to say. And when I did that, it gave me a peace. It made things easier because I'm standing here and I'm like, I don't even remember what I said because that was God talking through me. It wasn't me. I don't do speeches. I do, little footnotes or whatever, but I let God take over. Because if he takes over, he knows what everybody is in need of in this particular place right here today, not here. And so that's why I trust him. I have faith in him. I'm humble before him. I push. I pray until something happens. I learn how to keep my mouth shut because I know that God is going to take complete control and he's going to do whatever it is that he needs to do, not only in my life, but in all the lives of the people that I come in contact with. Women who are led by God, they serve the Lord. A lot of times people want to be served instead of serving. And a servant's heart is what God had. It's what Jesus had. He wasn't walking around trying to be served by everybody. He was more interested in trying to serve everyone. And that's what we need to have. We need to have more of a servant's heart. How can I help you? How may I serve you? And not come into situations always wanting to be served. I'll make you laugh because I went somewhere and I was speaking and they called me up and they said, and it was a really huge church, a mega church. And they said, well, what kind of water do you drink? And I said, they said, what kind of water do you drink? I said, well, whatever kind is on sale normally. I don't have a special brand that I drink. And they said, oh, okay. Do you require a glass with ice? And I'm like, what are you talking about? and Sean is always critiquing me. He was like, Jackie, that's how they normally do it, And I said, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And so I said, no, you don't have to do nothing special for me. I will drink the water out the bottle, and I'll be fine because all I'm coming to do is minister and serve you guys. I don't want to be served. I don't need all of that. I am here to serve you all as God has sent me to do so. And so I say that to say a lot of times we go into things and we go into situations with a lack of humbleness. We're so puffed up, we're so full of pride, and everything is so much about us. By the time we get behind the pulpit, nobody wants to hear anything that we have to say because, people talk. So stuff get around, everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's a piece of work. She did water with ice, she had to have solid water on. And at that point, nobody can hear from me because they have this impression of you like, oh my gosh. And that's not what I want when I go out and speak to people or minister to people. I want them to hear the heart of God. I want them to know that I am there to serve them. I am here to give you whatever it is that God has given me for you for such a time as this. I believe that God sent me here. I don't care if there was one person here. It's not about that. It's about what I have that God wants for you to hear for such a time as this. And so I know that we are supposed to serve God in everything that we do, and not just by going to church, because the church really is outside the walls. Yes, it is. Okay, we need to minister to people outside the walls of the church. That's what Jesus did. And he wasn't fearful of doing it. And he didn't judge people. No. He loved on everyone, and I think that love covers a multitude of sins. I don't think I'm better than anyone. anyone. I feel that I can talk to anyone. I don't care if you just came from the strip club, okay? But you in church. You know what? That's an opportunity for God to minister to you and love on you, and then you can go back and do whatever it is you do, because guess what? It's not up to me to deliver you. It's not up for me to save you. It's up to God to deliver you and save you. So the only thing I'm required to do is plant those seeds, and God will water them. But the only way I can plant those seeds is if I plant them in love, and not in condemnation, and not in puffiness, and not in trying to make you feel bad. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know why you do what you do, or why you had to do what you do. And we are all ex-something. So everybody needs to stop playing with that. We're all ex-something. Nobody's perfect. Ain't nobody, well, you know, some people will say that, but ain't nobody been saved since birth. You know, and ain't never did nothing wrong. And, but, you know, but, hallelujah to those who have been perfect their whole life. I'm not one of them. But I would just say that we should not approach life or people that way, because we are all ex-something. And I'm just going to say that and I'm going to leave it there. And you see, we must set our minds on eternal things.
Yeah.
Serve the eternal King, which is God, not ourselves,
and live to please him only. It's time out for being people pleasers. It's time out for trying to please my children, trying to please my husband, trying to please my mama, trying to please my daddy. If I please God, all of those other things are going to fall in line, because God, you know, he's a jealous God. And he said it in his word, he's jealous. I mean, it's in there. And so anything that we put before him, it's gonna fail. It's gonna fail. You know, you put your marriage before him, it's gonna fail. You put your kids before him, they gonna act a plumb fool. Because anything that you put before him, he's not gonna sign off on. That's right. You have to serve him with everything in you, and trust me, everything that you have need of, everything that is precious to you, that you care about, that you love, he loves too. And if you put him first, he's going to take care of those things. He's going to take care of them better than you can ever imagine. And you won't lack for anything. You won't lack for anything. I can recall times when I didn't know how child care, because we had 3 kids. I was 23 years old and I had three kids. 3 little kids. Bam, bam, bam. What I was thinking. And in the military. Full-time military. But, you know, and we had a TV, so I don't know what was up with that. But anyway, full-time military. And 3 little kids. And the child care bill was $785 a month. And in the military, there's just no excuses for not having child care. And so I had paid that every month. And some months I tried to figure out, how are we going to pay this? But I wouldn't say, Lord, I don't know how we're going to pay this bill. I would always say, God, you shall provide. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to do this thing. You're going to do this thing. And I go to I kid you not, I go to the mailbox and there's a check in there. Don't know how the IRS sent that check. Why is they saying, oh, back, you know, we took too much from you in 2000 and such a, I don't care what you did. All I know is I needed this money so I could pay my child care bill. So I don't care how you do it, Lord. You did it. And so to God be the glory. God will do those things, and he will take care of everything that you have need of. Whether you're young, whether you're old, trust God, and God will. He will come through. He's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of the man that he needs to repent. Okay? If he said he's going to do it, he's going to do it. But he's not going to do it the way you want it. And he's not going to do it in your timing. It's all about his timing. And he's an on-time God. There are so many times when I'm like, okay, I didn't even see it coming that way. But it don't matter because it came. And so then I've learned to just sit back and wait on God. And my kids will tell you, I'll say, I don't know how you're going to do it. I say it now. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't know when he's going to do it. I don't even know which way he's coming. But I know he's coming. I know he's coming. And when he comes, it's going to be something to see. It's going to be marvelous in our eyes. And guess what? When people see it, they're going to know it was God. It had nothing to do with us. It had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with me. And it was God. Only God. And when they sit back and say, only God could do that. Only God could do that. And everything that I have witnessed and everything that I have done and seen or done in my life has been teachable moments. See, that's the T for the fat part. You're faithful is the F.
Yes.
The available is the A, meaning just whatever God needs you to do, just say, yes, Lord, I'm going to do it. You don't have to agree with it. Just say, yes, Lord, I'm going to do it, but make sure it's God telling you to do it and not someone else or the enemy. I mean, you'll learn to hear the voice of God. You have to, and the only way you can do that is in your relationship with Him. If you're in a relationship with Him, you'll know His voice. But the teachable part is everything I've been through, everything that I've experienced, everything, I mean everything, has been a teachable moment for me. And it has either taught me what not to do again or what to keep doing. But God can only use you if He can teach you, if you are teachable, if you want to be taught. But if you think you know everything and you think that you don't need His guidance, then you will be wandering around in the desert for 40 years trying to figure out where to go and what to do instead of moving forward and closer to your destiny. I want everything that God has for me. I want to be the fattest woman around when it comes to the things of God. And I want to continue to be faithful, available, and teachable to Him. I want to be led by Him. Not because I'm worthy, but because He's worthy. Not because I did anything to deserve it, but because He died on Calvary for me. So all of my sins are forgiven. So I repent daily. Oh yeah, I repent daily. Because I'm not perfect and I never will be. But I serve a perfect and living God. And He will give us redemption. Redemption. We need to have a redemptive spirit concerning everything in every area of our lives. We need to love each other. We need to treat each other with the love that God would treat us. And we should not judge our neighbor, but instead love them and find ways to be a part of their lives, to assist them. We are here because we are better together. Women, we need to pull together, women. And I don't care what our ethnicity is. I don't care what our financial background, who we married to. I don't care, who, your husband could be T. Jakes, or your husband could be the garbage man that drives the garbage truck down the street. We still need to pull together and love on each other, because that doesn't make us any better than the other. Our social status, our financial status, none of that makes us better than the other person. What makes us better is when we put all of that aside and say, hey, how can I serve you? How can we work together for the common goal? And that is that all of us have a successful lives, that our children are successful, that we're pleasing in the sight of God. How are we helping our communities? How are we helping our families? If we don't love on our own family, whether the relationship is toxic or not, the Bible says that we're supposed to love everybody. We ain't gotta like everybody, but we're supposed to love everybody. And so you can love your family and love people from a distance, but that don't mean you stop praying for them. That don't mean that you stop being there if they call you and say, hey, I need your help, or I need a prayer. You do that, because that's your servanthood toward God. You're supposed to have the heart of God. Never stop having the heart of God. Stay humble. Keep praying until something happens. Learn when to speak and when not to speak. Seek the face of God concerning everything. And make sure you have right relationship with God, because then in turn He will make sure you have right relationship with man. If you want to be loved, be lovable. If you want friends, make sure that you know how to be a friend. If you want children, make sure that you're equipped and ready for the responsibility. And if you're not ready, learn. Go seek out the wisdom of the elderly, of the older people. And don't be afraid to ask questions or to let them give you that wisdom. Just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean that it may not work for them. If they give you advice and you don't think it's right, do your research. Do your research. Each generation should do better than the last generation. But the only way that they're going to do that is if you're willing to educate yourselves on the things that you think the last generation didn't do right. And then you keep teaching from there. We're all better when we work together. And our kids are the future. They are the next generation. And we need to bond together and pull together so that we can teach them, we can teach them how to love. in the midst of adversity, in the midst of everything. The women that lead have awesome qualities. They can pray until something happens. They know how to KYMS. They know how to be fact, faithful, available, and teachable. They stay humble. They don't let pride rise up in them. And what they also do is they seek constantly the face of God, and they speak and say what God speaks and says. And then for that, they are blessed. And they are able to lead the nation. They are able to be helpmeets to their husbands. They are able to be nurturers to their children. But most of all, they are able to be used by God. Make sure that you humble yourself and serve the Master, and He will take care of every area of your life, because it's awesome to be fat for Jesus. And that's what I want to be all the days of my life. Thank you for having me.